Excuse me. Your curtain. Please allow me to help.
Help? From you? Spare me your white savior complex. I don't need anything from someone like you.
I didn't mean to offend. I just thought you should know that
That I should know what? That some privileged white guy thinks his opinion matters? Get over your entitlement. I'm not some damsel in distress.
Rachel Zegler just hit a major roadblock in her Disney princess journey. Family Guy roasted her, and spoiler alert, she didn't handle it well. The internet's exploding with clips of her dramatic meltdown, and let's just say, it's a lot more crying in the castle than singing with birds. Is this the end of her Disney fairy tale, or just another chapter in the saga of outrage? Let's dive into the chaos. You won't believe how deep it goes.
Rachel Zegler, thanks for coming on my show. I sold out years ago and I'm a coward. So you recently starred in the movie Snow White. Tell me, what was it like to play Snow Latina?
First of all, Steven, it was weird. But I did enjoy reimagining the character as a woke Colombian woman who looks like a fish.
Well, I sold out years ago and I'm a coward. Are you surprised that everyone hates the movie?
Not at all. Society is far too racist and misogynist to appreciate the reimagining of a classic Disney princess as an ugly Colombian chick.
I sold out years ago and I'm a coward. You don't think making the movie a woke piece of garbage has anything to do with people hating it?
Not really. The original story had Snow...
Disney decided to take a gamble. No, not the kind where they throw some money at a new park ride or make a couple of bad decisions about food options. No, this time they were playing for real stakes. I'm talking about $250 million. $250 million, 0 cents to be exact. They poured that much into the live-action remake of Snow White, a film so stuffed with reboots and rebrands, it makes Hercules look like a fresh idea.
I know that you've told me before that your version of Snow White is different, and it's more of a 2022 version of Snow White. What did you mean by that?
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
You'd think with that amount of cash, we'd get a movie to wow the world, right? Some stunning visuals, incredible performances, a compelling narrative. Nah. Instead, Disney got roasted so hard by Family Guy that the entire project might as well have been left in the deep freeze. I mean, the idea behind the Snow White remake was pretty solid, if you count the dozens of other reboots Disney has been shoveling out as solid.
I get stopped for photos every time I'm online for the Snow White ride, and I have to pretend like, oh God, well, crazy that we're in front of this.
Wait, how often are you in line for the Snow White ride?
I'm a narcissist.
You know the drill. Repackage something classic with a shiny new political twist. Gotta keep up with the times. So they decided to make Snow White wake. Yes, that's right. This isn't your grandma's Snow White. She's got modern sensibilities, diverse representation, and a whole lot of political baggage that's just begging to be unpacked. And guess what? The internet's not having it.
Fans are growing more concerned about Disney's new Snow White remake, mostly because of what the lead actress has been saying to the press. Rachel Zegler has been described as a walking PR disaster for Disney's. We've heard her bag the classic story before, but there's more. There's always...
Now, enter Family Guy. And when I say enter, I mean they didn't just stroll in. Oh no, they barged through the door like they were auditioning for The Matrix 4. They didn't even need to mention Rachel Zegler, who by the way was cast as Snow White, by name to absolutely shred this movie to pieces. No. The roast was so precise, so brutal, so delightfully savage that you almost felt bad for Disney, but not really. The moment Peter Griffin, yes, the same Peter Griffin who believes the secret to life is eating a plate of spaghetti while getting shot by a cannon, walked through Disneyland, a place that was once synonymous with magic, you knew what was about to happen. Peter's walking around looking all confused, a total reflection of the audience at this point, and in the background, a roller coaster labeled Disney stock. Do you get it? Disney's empire is crashing and Family Guy is throwing a party at the top of the stock market plunge. That's not subtle, that's not cute. That's a flaming dumpster dive, and Family Guy has an Olympic gold medal in lighting it on fire. The entire scene is a metaphor for the absolute state of the company right now. If you needed any more evidence that Disney's obsession with rebranding everything and stuffing it with identity politics was doomed to fail, this was it.
Why should I trust you? You're always tricking me into going places I don't wanna. Oh, you said we were going to a place Walt Disney built.
No, Peter, I said supported.
No punches were pulled, just a massive jab right at the heart of Disney's woke agenda. If you've been sleeping under a rock, it's clear to see that Disney's big bet on remakes, all new diversity casting, and lessons on morality have not been landing. Let's pause for a second and talk about why. And this is where we get to the real meat of the matter. Family Guy didn't even have to name drop Zegler. They didn't need to say, hey, remember that Snow White thing Disney did with Rachel Zegler? Or worse, depending on how you look at it. Because Peter Griffin's midlife crisis in Disneyland was just the warm-up act. As he watches TV, he sees a female character on screen and exclaims, wow, that girl is hot. Then his friend, in the most you have got to be kidding me moment ever, corrects him, that's a boy. And then it happens again, and again, and again. It's like watching a man drown in a pool of confusion, and you're not sure if you should laugh or call an ambulance.
I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again.
Okay, so she said she was scared of the original cartoon, watched it once and never picked it up again. She should have watched it a few times and maybe became more familiar with the story. And before the script went through such a dramatic change that it sounds like she had a part in, Disney, and accomplished with that. Obviously, it was their production. You should have, watched it a little closely and maybe stayed a little closer to the original blockbuster, wonderful story written by whoever it was, but produced.
But you know what? You can't look away. It's funny, chaotic, and it's also a direct roast of how identity politics is running riot in Hollywood right now. The scene culminates with Peter screaming, "What is everything?" If there's a line that sums up 2025, that's it. It's the mantra for a world where everything feels forced, everything feels redefined, and yet you, the audience, are expected to nod along like it's all part of the plan. If there's a luxury in being a show that thrives on offensiveness, it's the freedom to drop bombs without worrying about the fallout. That was just the appetizer, though. You thought Family Guy's roast was savage? Oh, sweet summer child, you have no idea. Because if Family Guy lobbed grenades, South Park dropped a nuke. Yes, the same South Park that doesn't know when to stop, which, by the way, is what makes them so great. They didn't just make fun of Snow White, they ripped into the whole damn operation.
Snow White bombs, breaks records for the lowest live-action remake opening ever. Let me say that again. Ever. Okay? This is Snow White. And for those of you that have daughters or ladies that are listening to this, remember the first time you watched Snow White? The story, a love story, what happens to it? Snow White starring Rachel Zegler opened to a dismal $43 million, snagging the title of the lowest debut weekend for any Disney live-action remake, beating 2019's Dumbo.
And the best part? It wasn't just a roast. It was a reverse engineering of Disney's entire strategy. Cartman, ever the martyr, is tormented by a multiverse where all of his favorite characters have been replaced by self-righteous, miserable versions of themselves. It's as if every character in a Disney movie suddenly started following the Hollywood playbook. Insert a diverse female character, slap on a rainbow flag, and boom, instant hit, right? Well, South Park disagrees, and they took it straight to the boardroom. You want to talk about punchlines? South Park's version of Kathleen Kennedy stands up and delivers the line that became an instant meme. Put a chick in it and make her gay. That, my friends, is the truth about Disney's reboots right now. Forced. Formulaic. Hollow. As if that wasn't enough, the roast continued. Even George Lucas, yes, George Lucas, the man who created Star Wars, got in on the action. But you know what? The real star of this whole disaster is Rachel Zegler. She's the face of Disney's woke disaster. And while she's caught up in this storm, Disney's already eyeing their next big hit, Tangled. This, my friends, is where the plot thickens. You might be thinking, hey, why not give it another shot? Oh, I don't know, maybe because Disney's not even close to recovering from the Snow White debacle.
This is no ordinary apple, my dear. It's a magic wishing apple.
A wishing apple?
Yes, one bite and all your dreams will come true.
You offer it to me freely. In place of the patriarchy, you would have a queen! Not white, but diverse, inclusive, and equitable! I will become the leader I know I can be! All shall love me and despair!
Disney is wishing for a big opening weekend, hoping all the controversy surrounding the film won't get in the way of families showing up to the theaters.
The expectations that it'll open at between $45 and $55 million domestically and potentially over $100 million worldwide.
Here's the kicker. The live-action Tangled remake is already set to be Disney's most expensive remake to date. We're talking over $500 million. 0 cents when you factor in marketing. And guess who's reportedly attached to play Rapunzel? You guessed it, Rachel Zegler. This is like Disney decided to double down on the bet that failed spectacularly. But here's the problem. Even Disney fans are questioning why they'd risk so much on a movie when Zegler is already trending for all the wrong reasons. The backlash surrounding Snow White was so strong, before filming even started on Tangled, the internet was already up in arms. It's not because Zegler can't act, it's because people are sick of the brand, sick of the message, and sick of being told what they should believe while paying for their ticket. And speaking of bad vibes, we can't ignore the moment that's burned into our brains, Zegler's TikTok. The one where she walks into a nearly empty theater for her own Snow White premiere.
The ego on this girl's ridiculous. Wow. And Rob, do you have another clip of what she did the first time? Is this the one?
Yes, because if you remember, this movie was delayed. And then at one point they took, because they couldn't have dwarves. Do you guys remember?
Yeah,
that?
because Peter Dinklage and all them were talking crap.
So originally they
Do you have
took
a picture of what the dwarves were supposed to look like?
I can find it, but it was an array. It was the DEI of
DEI
dwarves.
dwarves.
Yep, but they actually ended up, that was too controversial. They had to reshoot the film and use CGI dwarves instead of actual
And
dwarves.
those dwarves were never used.
No, then they upset the dwarves that weren't used in the film because the dwarves were upset that it was going to hurt their acting career that they got pulled out of the movie.
Bouquets in hand, she strolls down an aisle that looks like it belongs in a ghost town. It's not cute. It's not glamorous. It's the cinematic equivalent of showing up to your own birthday party and realizing no one else was invited. The loneliest premiere in Disney history, some called it. And it was symbolic of everything wrong with this entire project. No buzz, no excitement, no interest. Just a sad, empty theater staring back at her. But it wasn't just the empty seats. Oh, no. This is where Zegler's casting issues really come into play. Snow White was originally described as skin as white as snow. So when Disney decided to cast a Latina actress, the internet lost its collective mind. Rachel didn't just defend herself. She didn't just say, hey, it's about modern representation. No. She had to come out swinging at the original Snow White, calling it outdated and weird. Fans didn't like that. They didn't just want to hear her defend herself, they wanted to hear her respect the classic story that she was taking on. And just when you thought this was all over, Zegler stepped into political territory. Her outspoken support for Palestine, while her co-star Gal Gadot is pro-Israel, kicked off a whole new level of drama. The whole movie became a political battlefield, and Lebanon banned the film. Not because of Zegler, but because of Gadot. Disney's $250 0 cents M flop just got even more complicated. The end result? Snow White was a box office disaster. $240 million, 0 cents budget, $184 million, 0 cents globally. Disney insiders admitted it underperformed, and the son of producer Mark Platt even came out and said it. Zegler's public persona, her social media antics, her interviews, that's what killed it. It wasn't just a bad movie, it had bad vibes. And now the question on everyone's mind is, what's next for Disney?
Snow White has officially gone down in history, not just as the worst live-action remake, but also the lowest rated film in IMDb history. You can't make this up. With a box office return that barely dents its $250 million budget, Snow White has officially become the ultimate example of what happens when a studio loses its grip on its audience. But while the movie's failure may have seemed inevitable for those following the troubled production, the release only added fuel to the fire of controversy surrounding the film.
The roasts aren't going away, and now even The Simpsons might join the pile-on. Because when The Simpsons starts poking fun at your reboots, you know you've lost the room entirely. But hey, Disney's probably not listening, right? As if Family Guy hadn't already served up enough of a scorched earth policy towards Disney, they decided to throw in an extra serving of, we're not done yet. Seriously, they've been relentless. Every time Disney thought it might be able to weather the storm, Family Guy shows up like that one friend who can't just let you have a moment of peace. Oh, South Park. You know it's bad when South Park decides to wade into the controversy. But here's where it gets spicy. The Simpsons, the show that's literally been around since before some of us could walk, might just be the final nail in the coffin. The Simpsons, people, the same show that's been predicting the future for decades. If they start roasting Disney, there's no coming back from that. It's not even a slow burn anymore. It's an open bonfire.
I never want it to come off as me being ungrateful for the opportunities I have. I can also be having the greatest time and simultaneously wishing people would stop sending me death.
Imagine Homer Simpson standing in front of Cinderella's castle, throwing back a couple of donuts and going, well, guess the woke crowd ruined this one too. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Disney's not just losing the plot at this point, they're getting eviscerated by every animated show they once inspired. And if The Simpsons join the roast, if they start turning their ironic humor on Disney's cash grab reboots, game over. If Disney's own properties are now throwing jabs at them, mocking the brand, then what do they have left? Seriously, this is where the narrative shifts from minor controversy to we're in a full-blown crisis. It's like watching your ex laugh at your attempts to move on, only it's everybody laughing. The audience is now the one holding the pitchforks, and Disney's running around wondering how it got so bad. They've lost the room entirely. Let's not sugarcoat it. Disney's downfall isn't just about Snow White. It's about trust.